Hello, PowerCats, welcome back to Along the Edge. We are at the epilogue now, known as Showdown. Where we last left off, Yves Maltier tried to asphyxiate Sophie, which is Daphne's mom, and Mr. Butine shot Yves when I think he was probably trying to hurt Daphne, maybe? So let's continue. Stop your crowing, Yves. It doesn't intimidate me. It's my turn to look down on him. You're nothing but a paper tiger. He stares at me in a mix of rage and impotence. I meet his gaze, and we look at each other in the eye for a long moment. Until he looks away. You know the way out. You'll excuse me, but I have to tend to my mother. I turn away, about to push through the stunned crowd who have witnessed the scene. Suddenly in the crowd cries out warning. I don't have the time to turn when I hear a gunshot. The youth collapses at my feet, his hand red with blood clutches his right shoulder. A few yards away, Mr. Butine holds his hunting rifle. He is a badass. I love Mr. Butine. The barrel smokes, the delicate curls floating up towards the sky. Epilogue. Spring. Sophie. Oh. I just got the flight confirmation. I'm leaving tomorrow morning. So you will survive without me? Mom and I are in the garden, enjoying the first of the sunshine with a coffee. Not long ago, this question, instead of being rhetorical, would have been a tricky one. Not anymore. Since the incident with Yves, the Maltiers have made themselves scarce. They say in the village that Yves doesn't leave the town hall much anymore, and that his convalescence has been difficult. I don't know what the future has in store, but I hope that the storm is finally now behind me. Daphne. Oh, sorry, Mom. Yes, sure, don't worry. I think I'll manage without you. We're interrupted by Frank back from the courthouse. He comes toward us with a smile. That must be good news. So what's the verdict? He was acquitted. With a number of witnesses who testified in his favor, the judge had no choice. Oh, so Mr. Butine got arrested. In the end, what tipped the scales of the side of self-defense is the testimony of Mrs. Dupy, a teacher. She swore under oath that she had Yves Maltier take a knife from his pocket. I suppose that, just for once, a bribe couldn't have changed the verdict. Mr. Butine must be relieved. Oh yes, I dropped him at the lodge. But you know what he's like. He never shows his feelings. Frank, since you're here, could you give me a hand? I've got some luggage to bring downstairs. Of course, with pleasure. I watch them as they go inside. I pour myself another coffee and sit, lost in thought. Is that... I forgot her name, but she's, Yves' wife. That's when I see the tall, blonde figure coming up the path. She's striding purposely towards the castle, but when she sees me in the garden, she hesitates briefly and heads in my direction. Clothhill, that's her name. Hello, Miss Delator. I was going to knock, but when I saw you, I thought I'd come directly to you. Clothhill Maltier looks ill at ease, and seems to have traded in her habitual haughtiness for a dose of humility. Offer her coffee. Clothhill, what a surprise. Can I offer you some coffee? No, thank you. But if you would give me a minute of your time. I'm listening. A sigh escapes from me as I wave her to take a seat. I'm listening. Daphne, I have to admit, I underestimated you. I never would have believed, on seeing you, that you would have stood up to my husband for so long, or that you would make yourself so popular in our little community. It doesn't matter if she's the last Delator, though, because she's probably sterile, so no more after her. Unless maybe, like, magic can, like, fix it. Anyway. Come on, Clothilde, stop trying to butter me up. Apologies don't suit you. You're right. That might be because I haven't had to apologize for anything in a long time. Anyway, as you might have guessed, I'm not here for that. I'll cut to the chase if you don't mind. As soon as Mr. Beaverteen's trial finished, I came straight here. The verdict wasn't a surprise, and I've been mulling this over for a while now. You know my husband. He has his shortcomings and his good qualities. I suppose you don't see it like that, but I promise you, Hughes has a good heart, despite what you might think. He tried to kill her mom. He caused Daphne's miscarriage, and probably her sterility. He tried to kill Daphne again, and he treats his daughter like garbage and may have killed his son-in-law. He's not a good guy, I'm sorry. I'm about to interrupt her, but she stops me with a wave of her hand. Please, Daphne, hear me out before you start insulting me. I'll tell you something that might surprise you. I've never really believed in all those tales of witchcraft. Oh, I can see their benefits, but let's be serious for a moment. I'm glad to hear you say that. Thank you for your honesty, but you're only confirming my suspicions. Yes, you're a scientist after all. I suppose nothing would shake your unwavering belief in science, would it? Could it? I mean, you can believe in science and believe in, like, magic and stuff. I do. Anyway. It was an awkward silence. Anyway, sorry to be blunt, but your views on the issue don't interest me at all. Damn. However, you may have noticed that my husband is a true believer. And the recent events between you and us really took a toll on him, you know. I don't think he'll ever forgive you for making him ridiculous in front of the whole village, and now, with the judge's decision... I'm torn between saying that and saying this. But I'm going to say this. I'm sorry if I bruised your husband's ego, but I was defending myself. You're right, Daphne, and believe me, I deplore that things have come to pass as much as you do. I just want this to be over, once and for all. Neither of us has anything to gain by keeping this animosity alive. I know I can make my husband listen to reason, but for that, I need you to meet me halfway, Daphne. Do you understand? What I suggest is that we unite our two families and end this whole quarrel once and for all. Sorry? You heard me. I know my son has a great regard for you. No! What I'm suggesting is marriage of convenience. A marriage of convenience? Are you joking? Firstly, we're not living in the 19th century. And second, I'm already engaged. How could you think I would ever break my engagement for... I'm lost for words. Oh yes, I forgot on that detail. I suppose you're referring to your plumber? What was his name? Francis, is that right? I do understand, how should I put it, the attraction of a liaison with that kind of person, but marriage? Really, Daphne? I thought you were more discerning than that. Are you sure your relationship is that strong that you won't regret choosing him in a year, 5 years, 10? Besides, Stanislaus is a good boy. A delightful boy, I assure you. You won't have to love him, nor even, good gods, be faithful to him. And if you insist on continuing your thing with your workmen, I don't see what would stop you. All I ask is for you to be discreet. What do you say? I'm looking... Say nothing. Ah, I see I've given you food for thought. Think of all the advantages of my solution. Our families united, we could give you financial stability, a comfortable life. She's the last Delator though, so I mean it wouldn't even matter. They were after she dies, they're extinct, so it won't matter. In exchange, you would give us back our status in the village. It's tempting, don't you think? For a second. On one side, I can see the benefits of her offer. On the other, there's Frank. We've had our share of bumps in the road. It hasn't been easy sometimes, but we've managed to patch it up. We're in a good place for now. And yet, we already broke up once. Am I sure my relationship with Frank is that strong? Impassive. The only thing I'm sure about is that whether or not I accept, I must make a final choice. Refuse. No, I'm sorry. You can come to my home asking me to break up my relationship. In what universe would you think that I would accept your offer? I came here with only good intentions, and this is how you receive me? Good intentions? No. I warn you, Daphne. I can still make your life miserable. And I can make yours miserable too, lady. We glare at each other. All Daphne has to do is cut her hand and be like, I curse you, and then you're gonna go off a bridge. I burst out laughing. Could you tell me what's so funny? I mean it. You'll regret taking this lightly. Really, Clothfield? Either you're in denial or you take me for an idiot. Excuse me? You have no hold over me. You just told me you don't believe in witchcraft, and even if you did, you're in a corner. Let's say your husband asks the entity that is supposedly at your family's service to do his dirty work again. Who would you direct it against? Me? I don't know the rules, but I'm guessing that if he could have got rid of me with the help of the so-called entity, your husband would have already done so. Of course, he could try to blackmail me by threatening, I don't know, Mr. or Mrs. Biertine? Frank? If we suppose the fire to be his fault, we can't say he really pulled it off. Mama's sound and safe. Besides, and you know this is all as well as I do, the local population is very superstitious. I'm sure if anything happens to someone close to me, they might reach some conclusions on their own. Without starting a popularity contest, I think we can both agree that causing an uprising is not really in your interest. Well, unless you want to deal with a riot or, I don't know, a strike at the sawmill. A witch burning. See what I mean? Oh, and of course, witchcraft doesn't change the equation. My reasoning on public opinion is relevant in both cases. And yet, I can't see you hiring an assassin or cutting my brake wires to get rid of me. You would have done already. So I don't think we're anything left to discuss. I return to my book while she stands there motionless, consumed by a cold rage. After a while I add, Goodbye, Clothhild. I like her eyes kind of glow. She turns and leaves. I watch her until she disappears behind the trees. I haven't seen Clothfield since that spring day. A couple of weeks later, the news of Yu's death began to circulate the village. Oh! Ooh. Ooh. Daphne, did you do something to him? He hanged himself in the office at the city hall. Oh, he killed himself. Clothfield left the area without a word, taking most of her assets the Maltese had accumulated for generations with her. Little by little, people began to talk, and Yu's shady deals were revealed. Rapidly, the Maltese name was no longer a synonym for respect and fear on the lips of the villagers. Time passed. The days are longer. Little by little, the summer heat arrived to warm the old stones. In August, there were rumors about the financial instability of the sawmill and its eventual closing. There was a climate of anxiety on the village. After all, it was the first time in more than a century that the population couldn't look to the Maltese either to guide them or as a scapegoat for their troubles. I mean, the Delators were originally the helpers and stuff of the village, so maybe Daphne can help them. In the end, even if the Maltese were the architects of their own demise, it left me with a bitter taste in my mouth. And then school started again. I went back to my students, but this time as a real teacher. I have the strange feeling that these last months were nothing but a bad dream, and that I have finally woken up. I admit I try not to think about the stories of witchcraft. Is any of this true, or was it all some Maltese manipulation? I mean, Pierre saw something strange in the basement. I guess I'll never know for sure. And it's probably better that way. After all these trials, I'm glad I found my way. Between my life, the castle, and school, I think I can finally say that I am, at last, happy. Bringing something to all these children that I teach year after year, it doesn't make up for the ones I will never have. But it's a start. You can always adopt Daphne. Frank and I are still engaged. It's not always a bed of roses between us, but I know he's the love of my life. There's no wedding on the horizon, but he's not in a hurry, and neither am I. I think that after everything we've been through, we don't need any symbolic link to promise each other support and fidelity. We have all our lives before us. Could things have turned out differently? I wonder about that from time to time. What would have happened if I had chosen another partner to share my days and my troubles? If I had believed in magic more, or on the contrary, doubted. If I had given into anger to despair, or perhaps to calm to leniency, could my life be different? Could I myself be different? I don't know. I've gone with the flow. I've done all I could. I've dangled over the precipice for a long time, clinging to the comfort of my certainties, of my doubts. The void constantly calling to me. I've let my feet guide me, one after the other, along the edge. Achievement unlocked. Cartesian mind. Mending the wound. Hegemony. Firefighting. Short hair, don't care. BFF. The voice of reason. Like a virgin. Social niceties. Okay. So, that was Along the Edge. I really enjoyed that game. Just like Sears Isle, I really loved playing it. It's made by Nova Box as well, like I said in my first video. If you want to buy this game, I'll put a link in the description below with my social media as well. Like I said before, I encourage you all to play this game for yourself and get your own endings. There's a lot of them. Another YouTuber that I follow, who happens to be a friend of mine, she's thinking about playing this game. Her YouTube name is Melly Playful. So whenever she does that, give her some support. She's a really nice person. I really enjoy talking to her. Anyway, if you want to follow my social media, links are in the description. If you want to buy Along the Edge, I'll put a link in the description as well. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. I'm not really sure what I'm going to be playing next, but it's going to be a visual novel, of course. So, yeah. Goodbye, everyone.